Bulgaria is situated in southeast Europe on the Balkan Peninsula, and it occupies 22% of its territory. The country is one of the oldest in Europe. Its official history dates as far back as the 7th century. Some of its protected areas are more than 1,500 years old. Many of these natural monuments are on the territory of the Southwest State Enterprise. The Southwest State Enterprise administers 950,787 hectares of woodlands, of which 677,259 hectares are state forests. More than half are under the directive of the Natura 2000, European Network for the Protection of the Environment. The old-growth forests are 3.3% and account for 20% of all old-growth forests of Bulgaria. These outstanding trees span an area of 21,000 hectares. The total timber reserve on the area administered by the enterprise is close to 118 million cubic meters, and the average yearly growth of timber is 2.1 million cubic meters. The average age of the forest is 60 years. The company operates in 7 administrative districts: Blagoevgrad, Kustendil, Pernik, Sofia City, Sofia Region, Lovech, and Pazardzhik. It is comprised of 41 regional offices, including 36 state forest units and 5 state hunting units. The mission of the enterprise is sustainable management, protection from diseases, pests, wildfires, and acts of violation, as well as forestation, and the development and maintenance of infrastructure, such as the forest facilities and road networks. Reproduction management and animal protection are the top activities toward the preservation of biodiversity and wildlife conservation. Apart from its main set of activities geared toward achieving a balance among social, economic, and ecological factors, the enterprise is in charge of most valuable mineral resources, which encompass majestic mountain ranges, rivers, and pristine lakes. Old and new growth forests, and a diversity of endemic plant and wildlife species whose habitat comprises breathtaking landscapes. A team of 1,500 people with a wide range of skills takes care of all this. The elevation of the territories managed by the Southwest State Enterprise varies widely. Its lowest point is in the valley of the Struma River and is characterized by a mild subtropical climate. Its highest points lay within the alpine climate in Rila and Pirin mountain ranges and are characterized by severe winters. The topography, climate, soil diversity, water resources, and other unique natural features have contributed to the creation of various types of ecosystems, which account for the exceptionally diverse flora and fauna here. The coniferous forests consist of several kinds of pine, white and black, Bosnian and Balkan pines, as well as various kinds of fir, including Douglas fir and spruce. The deciduous forests are represented by beech, oak, hornbeam, maple, chestnut, as well as other tree species. The abundance of fish in three major rivers of Struma, Mesta, and Iskr completes this exceptional ecosystem and renders it into a state of perfect harmony. The wildlife enthusiast would find an interesting diversity of big game here, such as red deer, fallow deer, mouflon, roe deer, boar, wild goat, and grouse. There's small game here also: hare, pheasant, partridge, quail, and various duck species. One may even encounter bears and other predators: wolf, fox, jackal, wildcat, and lynx. The birds that can be observed on the territory of the Southwest State Enterprise include species that are still seen in Europe, but less and less often. Lakes and rivers offer ideal conditions for recreational sports fishing. Let's look around. We'll take you on a beautiful and ambitious but feasible route. We depart from Sofia region, which is home to Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria. We head for the western part of the Balkan Mountains, and we find ourselves on the territory of the State Forestry of Etropole. This district is home to the Varoviets waterfalls. Whose waters spring out of the mountains 300 meters above the falls. Amazingly, the river there is just a tiny brook. A cool and shady beech forest, the waters of a pristine river, and crystal clear air. This is how we can summarize the Etropole mountain. The largest natural birch grove in Bulgaria is located around here as well. We head south toward the Pierdop Forestry, which is situated on the territory of 7 municipalities. From here it takes an hour going east to the most remarkable architectural preserve in Bulgaria, the museum town of Koprivshtica. Many years ago, the hills where these beech forests stand today were barren land. But in 1903, under the jurisdiction of then Minister of Agriculture, Rashko Majarov, a massive afforestation campaign was initiated. And now, a century later, we can observe the results of this huge and effective effort. The rangers of the State Forestry of Pierdop have built a small monument in the courtyard of their nursery as a gesture of gratitude and respect toward this public figure, who was also one of the first foresters in Koprivshtica. Now we take a 90-degree turn and we head southwest toward the Iskr State Hunting District. It's one of the 5 territorial divisions of the Southwest State Enterprise, where wildlife activities are a high priority. The mixed forests of beech trees, winter oaks, Hungarian and Turkey oaks, as well as white and black pine, provide a great habitat for the wildlife. On the territory of the Iskr Hunting District, and only 75 kilometers outside of the capital Sofia, herds of red and fallow deer, roe and mouflon, roam freely. The diversity of wildlife is due to years of experience and hard work of the hunting specialists who take constant care of the hunting grounds. The organized hunting tourism is managed through well-established practices. There is an abundance of wildlife here, and this allows for the relocation of 200 animals per year. These animals are taken to other hunting grounds. The town of Samokov is nearby. It is close to the world-famous mountain resort of Borovets, the oldest of its kind in Bulgaria. Old-growth coniferous forests, grasslands, countless lakes and snowy peaks. We continue west, and after an hour, we arrive at the town of Blagoevgrad. The mountain destinations of Rila and Pirin are favored by many tourists and can be reached in less than an hour from here. The Hrusovska River is part of the catchment basin of the river Struma. After the devastating flood of 1954 in Blagoevgrad, a massive project to tackle soil erosion was started. It's an example of effective forestry practices. More than 10,000 hectares of trees were planted over the years, and 61 stone levees were built. Recently, and for the first time in 60 years, the curving levees were repaired. The Southwest State Enterprise financed this repair. We head southwest of Blagoevgrad and arrive in the Mesta Forestry District. Here, fire lookout towers have been built to assist in the prevention and early detection of forest fires. The Southwest State Enterprise has constructed 9 lookout towers, which are placed in the most vulnerable regions along the riverbeds of the rivers Mesta and Struma. The towers, together with the Center for Wildlife Management in Blagoevgrad, form a protection system against forest fire and are part of the efforts for the preservation of the environment. We leave Mesta on a trail that will lead us to the Garmin Forestry District. At the very beginning of the trail is a stunning view of the hunting lodge and a beautiful lake in front of it. The lake is replenished with fish every year and is an ideal spot for leisure and relaxation, as well as fishing during the hot summer days. An unforgettable journey starts here, as we enter an ancient spruce forest, whose majestic beauty leaves us breathless. Both sides of the road are covered in trees, under whose majestic canopies the locals have built gazebos and water fountains for the tourists. Perhaps some of the tourists occasionally chance upon the magnificent anthill hiding behind a fence that ensures its survival. Workers and forest personnel in the Vishterica area are conducting a timber survey. One of the employees of the forestry is putting control tags and plates and is recording the state of timber in each section of the forest. The transportation of timber occurs via the newly constructed 14-kilometer road, which circumvents the architectural reserve of Kovacevica. We find ourselves in the very heart of the Pirin mountain, in the saddle of Papas Cear, a geological formation which is also known as Popovi Fields. The Pirin is well known for its high-altitude lakes and is home to over 1,300 species of higher plants and over 2,000 animal species. One hour later, we are standing near the very border of Bulgaria with Greece, in the promised land of herbs and black spruce. Welcome to the Katunsi Forestry. The typical mountain topography of this region is accompanied by a mild Mediterranean climate, which, combined with the high plateaus, creates perfect conditions for valuable herbs like mountain tea and ironwort, St. John's wort, oregano, wild blueberries, and strawberries. In the village of Pirin, a new bridge over Pirinska Bistrica River has been constructed. This is one of the more ambitious investment projects of the enterprise and is part of its efforts to develop the forest infrastructure in the region. From here, we continue along the Greek border and we reach the forestry of Petric. It borders Greece to the south and the Republic of Macedonia to the west. Next, we arrive in the town of Petric, where pristine chestnut forests have been preserved in their original state. Besides casting their beauty over the Belasica mountain and charging the air during blossom season, these forests are used for the collection of their fruit. Chestnuts are highly valued in culinary practices and can be prepared into many different recipes. We set off north, in the direction of the forestry district of Strumiani. Here, we stop at the forest nursery in the village of Mikrovo, which specializes in the production of poplar, or cottonwood cuttings. This is one of the 5 main nurseries of the enterprise. Many of the white and black pine saplings here, as well as the young Douglas firs, spruce, and maple, will be raised under protected conditions and then transplanted out in the areas prepared for that purpose. The hunting grounds of Osogovo. Greet us with a diversity of plant communities and animal species. The Osogovo Hunting Lodge is nestled in the mountains and is a favorite destination for both hunters and tourists. Today, its visitors are enjoying a temperate climate combined with pristine nature and a multitude of cultural monuments. The neighboring forestry district is called Nevestino. The Gabra Reserve is situated on its territory. Once again, we find ourselves on a difficult terrain. But this time, we are in the mountains of Vlahina, amidst ancient oak and spruce woodlands. This mixed forest has been left to its natural processes, untouched by human hand. Amazing tree specimens are found here. Soaring tree trunks, massive stumps, dead trees that crisscross wonderfully these well-preserved heavens of biodiversity. In the forestry of Zeman, one of the 2 bulldozers purchased by the enterprise is working on a new forest trail. We are getting close to the beginning of the circle we made as part of our big journey today. We head east. Toward the end of the tour, the state hunting unit of Vitoshko Studena. It is in the skirts of Vitusha Mountain, a favorite region for tourism and recreations of tens of thousands of Sofia citizens and their guests. The territory in this district is dotted with natural landmarks like a colored jigsaw puzzle. The Studena Reservoir is situated here, and its banks are surrounded by thousands of hectares of woods that have been planted here many years ago in an effort to curb soil erosion. The hunting lodge in the village of Klavnica provides a wonderful combination of tranquility and warmth. It is the preferred destination of hundreds of foreign tourists who come here from abroad on organized hunting trips. This part of the business plan works really well. Here we witness the dedication of the forest and wildlife personnel who take constant care and measures toward nature conservation and the protection of wildlife. We watch with curiosity the introduction of wild ducks to the reservoir, as well as the restocking of Balkan trout in the rivers. We stop to rest a little bit before we leave, so that one day we may come back to this unexpected oasis of pristine nature. The Southwest State Enterprise works continuously and with great dedication, taking into account the huge responsibility and challenges of protecting the public interest.